Hello, good evening and welcome. Welcome to Rangers Radio. John, myself, Fox, you're on the show tonight. It's Bridgeman in London. Evening, boys and girls.
Evening, Oxchair. Evening, Bridgeman. Evening, everyone. I hope you're all keeping well.
Well, can I just say a huge good evening to you guys on the panel. Massive good evening to the guys in the lobby and to all the Rangers fans that are listening in all over the world. Good evening. Welcome to Rangers Radio.
I've got to say, Bridgeman, I'm deeply concerned about the characters we're dealing with on Rangers Radio. We've set up the shows for the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s and the 2000s. I have been threatened. I have been offered bribes.
Joking.
From some of the men I'm had. Yeah, and it's been despicable, Bridgeman.
Can you tell us which teams are involved here?
The 60s have been involved.
Oh no!
Yes, the 70s I've spat the dummy out. The 80s, some of the threats have been unbelievable. The 90s, I was told to check under my car when I left my work today.
Love it. Just brilliant.
I've got to say, the 2000s have been very pleasant, but apart from that, the rest of these are despicable. Anyway, should be a bit of fun. How are you, Linda?
Yeah, I'm very well, Ox. Thanks.
Were you involved in these threats then?
No, Bridget.
Okay.
I know we took the quiz very seriously, but I wouldn't be resorting to any threats on Ox or anything.
No violence involved?
No violence, not at all.
I didn't say they were all threats of violence, Bridget. I just said they were threats.
All right, okay.
What did you make of the match on at the weekend there, Linda?
Well, I think, taking into account, the fortnight that we'd had, Ox, or the week that we'd had with the two European games and, physically, mentally, what that probably took out of the players. I think a point was probably a kind of fair result on reflection, Ox. And, we did finish the game probably the stronger team and could maybe have nicked it at the end, but I was quite happy with a point.
I don't think we deserve to win the game. You're always looking to win it, Linda, but we never, and you take it on and you move on. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're still unbeaten. And, I think the players and probably the management team would have been happy, to keep their unbeaten run in check and take it out with a point. Absolutely.
And who's shone for you, Linda?
Well, I think I thought Stephen Davis had a good game. Usually, he's 7 or 8 out of 10 performance. I thought that Ryan Kent was probably our bright spark, Ox. He was probably one of the players that didn't really look tired, considering that he'd played the 2 previous games as well. And I thought that anything that if we were going to score or get up the park, it was going to come from Ryan. And I thought Alfie getting his goal, I was absolutely delighted for him to get that goal. And, that's something that they can't say any more about him. He's got his old firm goal. So, yeah, overall, probably those 3 kind of stood out for me.
Highlight the game for me, Alfie at the final whistle.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it?
Bridgeman, what was that like?
And when he was making the faces.
Oh, he's a character.
Yes, indeed. Yes. But, I thought that, said that last night, I could quite easily have given it to Morelos simply because that's his 55th goal with the Rangers and the first against that lot, I could have easily, swayed and gave it to Kamara just for coming out and playing, to be perfectly honest with you, after what's happened to him, what he's been through. But obviously, I've got the same. I went for Kent and Kent, Morelos and what's his name? McGregor. That's right.
Yeah, McGregor as well for me, Bridge. I should have mentioned him. Had some good saves, didn't he? But it's kind of what you expect for Alan now, isn't it?
I think there were more good saves against them that made them better saves. I think as a goalkeeper, I dare say they're not the best saves he's ever made. They're good saves, and he was on spot on. His mind was in it, but they were actually think they were quite poor, to be honest. And I still say right now, I'm not being funny. I think that big centre forward there's Edouard. He should have been red carded. That was a second dive in the second half there. In another dive. Was it the second half or the first half? I can't remember now. Okay, I'm away.
You want to hear what Linda wants to say?
Right, okay.
Yeah, you had View for the Bridge was on Monday. This is Wednesday.
Apologies.
No, it's all right. Your passion shines through, brother. Your passion shines through. I think Bridge is right, actually. I did think it was a second dive myself, Linda.
Yeah, I would agree with Bridge. And, you know, it was interesting as well, Ox. I don't know if you guys read, but they didn't appeal the yellow card for the dive. Surprise, surprise.
I don't know how they could. It was a dive.
Exactly. Unbelievable. And after the game, it was a stonewall penalty, and you just thought no. So obviously, you know, that was the correct decision by the referee.
Here.
Can I come in on that just for a second?
Yes.
You know when their officials and their captain come out and they say it was a stonewall penalty. I've looked at that, and it's a stonewall penalty. All these people saying it was a stonewall penalty. That's shining a bad light, A, on the referee and B, on the player, i.e. Borna Barisic. He was accused of sliding in there with malice aforethought. That was the accusation. But I looked at the tackle and he was on the ground and his foot never left the ground. And that guy jumped over him, dived over him, should I say. And I don't understand why these people weren't spoken to by the SFA.
It's their way, Bridge. They're not trying to influence that decision. They're trying to influence the next decision. There'll no change, mate.
Yeah.
No change, you know. You know what I mean? But anyway, enough about them. But, we move on, Linda. Still undefeated. 33 league games, no lost a game. If I said that to you in August, what would you have said to me?
I wouldn't have believed it, Ox. It's absolutely incredible. And I think it's just made all the more terrific by the fact that I know we went out of Europe, but that European run that we had as well, Ox, all those fabulous results that we got, group winners, getting to the last 16, and we've won the league, and all these great performances as well. We're 20 points ahead. It's really been a magnificent season, and you would never have predicted it at the beginning of the season.
Aye. Well, I can't disagree with you. It's been a fantastic season. All right, we lost to St Mirren and never went on and won the League Cup, which is maybe an annoying spot. Europe, more important than that, did we get scalped all of the part in Europe like they did in their so-called Invincibles when they even lost to Lincoln Red Imps? But they seem to forget that, you know?
I know. And I think, you know, a lot of fans really want us to get this unbeaten record in the league. I don't know, I think you guys touched on it in one of the shows that Gerrard maybe said that he is going to make some changes in the league games going forward to give, you know, players more minutes, but hopefully we've still got the quality that we can go out and we can get the 5 wins in the games that are left, and that would be fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to look at tonight, Linda, is obviously we're getting near the end of the season, and we're going to look at ins and outs.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Whose contracts were, and maybe where you think we have to strengthen, and of course your good self, Bridgeman. He's looking for
go on yourself, boys. I love these things. An 8-foot 2 centre half. Please.
He's only football scout. He goes to the NBA looking for his centre halves.
I'll tell you. You know how I feel. Everybody knows how I feel, and I don't make a big song and dance about it. But there you go.
You've mentioned it once or twice, mate.
Once or twice.
Bridge will be up at the stadium if we ever sign somebody like that. He'll be standing at the front door welcoming him in.
Oh dear. Okay. Let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show. It's your platform. Let's hear from you.
It's not unusual that we all agree on anything on Rangers Radio. We usually, but I don't think anybody likes international Brett, Linda.
No, and as we were saying before we came on air, it used to be quite a big thing, Ox, in terms of, as you were saying, the matches were on television, but there's maybe just too much of it now. And I think this time, because we haven't even got Ryan Jack to cheer on, obviously John McLaughlin's still in the squad, but it was actually quite nice that Ryan was getting to play and, you could cheer him on. But no, it's a long fortnight when it's the international break.
Aye. We'll see what it.
We've got John McLaughlin picked. He's selected. I'm not selected to play, but he's in the squad. Aye. So we've got a token Rangers player, and that's all there is.
That's it.
Why did we go in my first team? We only have. They're the only two Scots we've got, aren't they? I'm just trying to think.
Yeah, Scott Wright.
Scott Wright
in the future.
Scott Wright now. Aye, Scott Wright. What did you think?
Patterson.
Come on, Linda. Scott Wright.
Yeah, I like the look of Scott Wright, and I think we're all, looking forward to seeing a bit more of him. Maybe in the closing the games, it's going to close out the season. Maybe we'll see him in the first game back, Ox. I'd like to see him get a start just to see what he could do for the full 90 minutes. But I think we're all quite excited by him, and I think he's looking like a good signing.
Aye, and about Patterson when he came on.
Yeah, I don't know. He didn't start the game, maybe because he had a knock or he had gone for.
I can't buy into that, Linda. I really can't. But modern football, I suppose. For me, you've got to be fit to play for the first minute if somebody gets hurt.
Yeah, I know, it's interesting, isn't it? Why would you have somebody on the bench that's carrying a knock? And I heard Gerrard saying, I don't want to talk too much about the game, you guys have covered it, but he said he maybe had Balogun in because of his height in both boxes. But I would have rather just had Patterson from the beginning. You could tell the difference when he came on, couldn't you? It did make.
He's about 6 foot, Patterson, isn't he?
Aye, yeah. So
he's no small boy.
No. But I don't know if it was maybe because some folk are saying going forward that he might be banned, and maybe that's why he wanted to play Balogun there again. But I think we all think, just play your best team for each game as it comes. But I don't suppose we can argue with Stevie G.
Richmond,
sorry, pal.
Did you see the fixture change today, mate?
No, I did not. No, what was it?
The next game's a Sunday at 6:30.
6:30. I saw that. I didn't realise it had been changed, but I just saw it was saying at 6:30.
Well,
and I thought to myself,
confirmed.
What is that about?
Confirmed.
But what's that about? I mean, goodness sake, who are we playing? Cove Rangers. You're going to ask them to travel all the way down? Come on. 6:30 on a Sunday.
I'm glad it's not that Bora Rangers. They're in good form.
Wow, I tell you what, I was so delighted. So delighted with that. And by the way, I saw there be celebration in the dressing room, and I noticed that not a single peep about anybody complaining about a team celebrating. Only team that gets complained about is Rangers. Only team to get complained about when they celebrate is Rangers. Sorry, guys.
Aye, better result. Aye, so that's the next fixture, which is now still about 10 days away, Linda.
Yeah, Cove Rangers, and I think it's Premier Sports. It's got the Scottish Cup games, and they dictate the times. But it seems quite far away. But it just shows you can't really take any teams for granted. And if he's going to make changes, let's hope it's not like too many. And we just need to make sure we get through.
It's broke the day. I don't know, another story. It's broke the day, and this will please a lot of people. It looks as if we're in talks to extend and improve Glenn Kamara's contract, Linda.
Yeah, that's right. I did hear that. I think he maybe made a wee comment himself, because I think his contract's due to expires at 2023. But I think everybody was talking about maybe the terms of Kamara's contract. It's not as good as some of the other players, and it was maybe a bit rewarding them, Ox. So hopefully we'll get him tied up in a better deal, and for a good few years yet.
He's a main first team pick, isn't he? At the moment,
he deserves the wages of a first team player now, doesn't he? Yeah. He's proved himself, Richard.
Absolutely, I've got no complaints about people getting good wages. I just want to see everybody being fairly treated. That's what I want. Everybody fairly treated and getting good wages, and they must behave themselves. But
could you have a Fox?
Fox is he won't do it. He won't do it. I'm not going to ask him. He won't do it.
Oh dear.
So I also heard, I think I saw something in Follow, that they reckon that Defoe is going to go at the end of the season.
I think so. I think so. I mean, listen, he'll be somebody that'll always be welcome back at Ibrox.
Aye.
My Linda.
Yeah, I would agree, Ox, and it's whether or not there's a possibility of a coaching role, but I think we've said before it can't really be based on kind of sentiment. There's got to be a role there for him, and he's probably not played as many games as he would have hoped. So I do think it's probably time for Jermaine Defoe to move on, and he'll be one of the ones that, like the rest of them, that will go with our best wishes, won't he?
Yeah. We'll look at the people who's up in contract. Well, this has changed a wee bit because obviously Stephen Davis has changed. We'll get Balogun up this year. Yeah. Alan McGregor, I think everybody's hoping there'll be a deal done there. Greg Stewart, I think he'll leave the club. Jermaine Defoe will leave the club. The guy's had the best job in football and enjoys a celebration, Andy Firth. It took me 15 minutes to work out who he was when I seen the pictures with Joachim Howie. What a job he's done. I could have done what he done. Third choice goalie, isn't it? Bridgeman, what a number that is, isn't it?
It's got to be the best number in the whole of UK. That one, absolutely superb number, and he loves it. He just loves it.
It was like when he played, he carried the knife for the oranges at half time. That was his job.
Jeez.
We'll get Defoe and Firth, and then Zungu's loans up. So that's 7 guys there, and I think obviously potentially maybe only 2 of them will be at the club, the 2 stalwarts. Linda?
Yeah, I would agree with that, Ox. With Balogun, I'm not 100% sure. He's not exactly performed to his best over the last few weeks, but I suppose it would depend on Katic and obviously George Edmondson, whether he'll come back and have some sort of role to play. And we've obviously got the guy Jack Simpson, so there probably could be enough cover there. But yeah, I would agree that out of those it would be Stephen Davis, who's obviously got the year already, and Alan McGregor. But the rest of them, I don't think there's a future there.
I can't disagree with you at all. There's quite a few, and I'm sure the manager has got a good idea who he wants to keep, which may surprise us, I must admit.
Oh, no. Let's be honest. He'll be listening to us to find out what he's going to do.
Well, I say one thing. When you say about people listening, I tell you, some of the stories that have broke, word for word, what we've come out with on here, word for word. Seriously, unbelievable. You know, where are you getting these stories?
Funny that. And some of them haven't always been true, but there you go. You never know who's listening. Right, so that's 3, 5, 7 guys. It's way I would say 6 of them have been involved with the first team, and only 2 of them will be gone. So potentially Balogun gone, Greg Stewart gone, Jermaine Defoe, Andy Firth, and Zungu. So that frees up some wages. Listen, we might be wrong. You never know. Balogun and Zungu could get kept. Andy Firth could get a 10-year contract, a testimonial. So then,
sorry, folks. I thought I finished there. I was going to say, you just mentioned Balogun again, and we've not given Balogun that much credit for his part in the goal. That was a great header he won, and it was bouncing down. I actually think it was going in, but the angle, looking at the angle, but it could have been just scraping the post. And well done to Morelos, but really well won by Balogun. And overall, he had quite a poor game for the time he was on, I thought, for him anyway, But I don't know. When I was asked by you whether Balogun would be kept on, I thought, yes, I think he would be kept on for at least another season. But I'm not dead sure now. My mind's split. But that goal brightened me up again. So come in, Balogun, your number's no up.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens there with the people whose contracts are up in the summer. And then we've also got the 2 boys, the sort of, if you like, the boys who were put on loan due to the breach of COVID because the manager. Do you think we'll ever see any name in a blue jersey, Linda, Edmondson and Jones?
I'm not sure. Jordan Jones, I think we all were quite happy when he signed. When he was playing for Kilmarnock, he always seemed to play quite well against us, and he was quite pacey, scored some goals, but he never really featured, didn't he? Not after that incident where he got injured, Ox, against the team from the other side of the city, and it took him a long while to come back from that injury. But he has got a bit about him. But even this season, he was in against, was it Motherwell? He scored that great goal. And in the next game, I don't think he did very much. And I think Gerrard took him off. So I don't know if it's more of an attitude problem in terms of Jones. With George Edmondson, I'm not really sure about him. I don't think we've seen enough of him to maybe make that judgment. But I would suspect that if we could get them, out the door in terms of transfers, the club would probably be quite happy to take the money for them.
I think Jordan Jones has picked up an injury at Sunderland. I think he missed their cup final, didn't he?
Oh, did he, Ox?
I don't know how bad it is, but I read that in the press that he picked up an injury. What's your thoughts, Bridge? Will we see him in a blue jersey again?
Well, I don't wish them any ill will. I think they were crazy. They got themselves picked up and so on and so forth, and shopped and all the rest of it. But I don't know. When Jordan Jones was coming to us initially, I thought, what a brilliant steal by Rangers. I rated the guy. I thought we'd see some trickery, some really good goals. We have seen some goals, but he's not been the star that we thought he'd be, because the first Celtic game he played, he's injured, got us injured, so it was a long time out. But Edmondson has had a few chances. I don't think personally that either of the two of them will in fact be at Rangers next season if the manager gets his way. Yeah, they're not even in the shadows of anywhere. As far as Rangers are concerned, they don't appear to exist, and that's the truth.
I don't think we'll see them in a blue jersey again. I'd be surprised. We might maybe pre-season if we can't move them on, but I think we'll be trying to move them on and obviously free wages up and maybe get some money in, Linda. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think there's probably players at the club, Ox, that we would be wanting to keep that potentially we think might move on in the summer. And I think we were talking about Alfredo Morelos before as well. And it's all about probably what he wants to do personally. But if money could be freed up, there's a chance that perhaps they would go to Alfie and maybe give him another increase to try and keep him for this next year. But it'll just depend, I suppose, on what Morelos really wants to do himself, I think.
Looks as if he's moved out his flat into a house, so...
Yeah, I did notice that, Ox. I saw a couple of pictures on social media, so that kind of looks a wee bit more promising.
Oh, obviously it looked quite a big gaff to me and you, but Bridge didn't think it was that big.
Bridge's back gaff.
Shocking. I'll tell you, shockers.
I get what you're saying there, Linda. There's logic in it and business case for it, but it just depends if I don't know how much Morelos is on there. If you're going to have to go and spend 5 or 6 million to try and replace him, or do you think that? And would you be better giving him, I don't know, an extra 3 million over 3 years to maybe try and keep him and see what it takes you, depending on how happy he is. Obviously, if somebody comes in with stupid money, we're not naive to know that people will go, yeah?
Yeah. And I think for Morelos has talked about, playing in a bigger stage, and I know the Scottish League isn't the biggest stage, but the Champions League is, and, don't want to, preempt anything, and hopefully we can get through the qualifiers, but that would be a big stage for him. And then maybe next year he gets his move and he'll get a team in, maybe the top 5 leagues and a big team as well in those leagues, so that he's not actually playing for a team that's fighting relegation and not in with a chance of winning any trophies. So it is a kind of a catch-22 a wee bit, but Alfie will probably have it in his own mind what he wants to do.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sorry, it's interesting because I don't know whether Morelos. I know there's wee stories saying he wants to go to the English Premier League. I don't know how much truth's behind that. I dare say for a young man, I reckon he would better stay at Rangers for another 2 years and then taking the step up into the English Premier League. Because I think, as Linda says there, you're talking about Champions League for the next 2 seasons potentially for Rangers if we keep our improvements up. And I think he'd be a key man in our team for sure, a key man for Steven Gerrard. So I wish he stays.
We'll see. Let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
First and foremost, I would want to stay and put all the speculation to bed, Linda. I want players that want to stay with my team. I don't want guys that are working their ticket, I know that I accept that players come and go and players have got the right to move on. But if he wants to stay, all in for me and see what it takes us,
Yeah, I would agree, Ox. And if we think back to the beginning of this season, when there was all the speculation about Morelos, he was dropped from the squad, wasn't he? And I think it was his attitude. He wasn't as fit as he should have been, and he missed a few games because of that. So we don't want anything like that to happen this season, because the Champions League qualifiers will come round fairly quickly, and we need everybody on board, because if we could get through those qualifiers, I mean, the riches that are in the group stages, it would put the club right on the front foot. So we want everybody, if he wants to be here, stay. But as you say, if his heart's set in a move, maybe it is time for the club to cash in.
Aye, that's a simple question, Do you want to play here or you don't? Obviously, I think Gerrard and I will know the guy. I think there seems like a very good relationship between all the players and the management at the club at the moment.
Yeah, and do you think maybe with Alfie, because we've won this league, there's a trophy there, there's a potential Scottish Cup, that he might just get a wee taste for the success,
I'll come back to that, because we've been joined by Amanda. Evening, Amanda.
Good evening, all, and I'm promising I'm behaving myself all night.
Evening, Amanda.
I had a good look at myself in the mirror the other night.
Oh, well, if you're going to be yourself, thanks for the call. We'll speak to you soon.
You're funny, aren't you? No, I'm just, it's just this kind of strange period, because we've not got any games, isn't it? It's just a weird kind of time we're going through, because we've not got any games. You're sitting going, what can we talk about? But there's always plenty to talk about, isn't there? And I don't mean my love life. But no, I think you were talking about, Morelos. I would love to see Morelos stay. Definitely love to see him stay, because I think he's coming on to a good bit of form now as well. His temperament's changed a bit as well, I think. From when he first came to us, I think he's kind of matured since he, kind of had the baby and that, and settled in with his wife. So I think he's kind of changed personality. His mentality's got a lot better, I think. He's not as petulant as he was when he first came, if you know what I mean. But I would love to see him stay. And you were talking about Jordan Jones and all that, and I just think they'll learn the lesson from this mistake. That's a big mistake to make, but they'll learn the lesson from it. Do you know what I mean? They will learn a lesson. Anyway, how are you all?
I'm good, Linda.
Yeah, I'm very well, Amanda. Doing fine, like yourself. The international break, it feels as if it drags on forever. But there's always things to talk about as far as Rangers is concerned. But do you think that Alfredo's actually a better player now than what he was when he first came to Rangers?
I think so. I think his mentality and his attitude to the game's changed. I think it's improved his game a bit, because when he first came to us, remember, he was always taking that petulant challenge in, and oh God, he's going to get sent off again, and you were kind of panicking. But you see him now sinking. You can see him even the other night in the European, the European game the other night. He wasn't bringing in, he wasn't running in and kicking folk and hacking folk. He was just taking his time and playing a steady game. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the difference between when he first came in. But maybe that's just my opinion. But no, I definitely think he's a better player.
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely.
I agree. I do. I think Bridgman. I think he's brought bits to his game, bringing it in, pulling it, and bringing players into the game. That when he first came to Ibrox, I didn't think he had.
Oh, most assuredly. By far and away, I've been saying it since he was here. He's the best player we've got. And not being funny, I love Ryan Kent. I just absolutely adore him. I think he's a great wee player. But overall, Morelos is a presence in the park that we haven't got anywhere else. Goldson's got that bit of presence in the defence, and of course McGregor in goal. But they don't have what Morelos has got. He's got character, charm. He's a fabulous player. He knows the game. He's only a young lad and he knows the game inside out. Just brilliant. The way he drags people in and then spreads them out. But it takes people away. Oh, that nonsense. Creates space for our players. That's what we want. And he's brilliant. Just brilliant. Just brilliant.
Right, I'll go and let other callers get in, but I'll say good night. Have a good show, folks, and I'll speak to you soon. Okay?
Cheers, Amanda. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye, Amanda.
Bye, Bridgman.
Bye.
Bye.
It's turning into the Walton zone here. Good night, Jim Bob. Good
night, number 37.
That's a good point she makes about Morelos. Now, I agree with you, Linda. I think he's a good player. I like the guy's attitude at times. He has frustrated us all at times. He's also been very unlucky. I mean, I was speaking to somebody in my work the other day and they were talking about his discipline problem, and I said he's always getting sent off for kicking people. I said, look at this. He gets sent off for once for diving, allegedly setting dive after time was up. And he also gets sent off for waving to the other opposition fans. He's not laid a glove on anybody to be sent off, is he?
That's right, Ox, because we were all saying that before, that it's not even been like a nasty tackle. You know, I know there was the one that he kind of left his kind of forearm in. Was that the Dundee United one, and they banned him retrospectively? But other than that, it's been for daft things. And
no, hold on, he got sent off for a serious injury to Scott Brown, didn't he? Serious injury. He whacked him with his arm, and Scott Brown went down as if he was dead. And then the next thing you see, Scott Brown's up getting a bit of orange or something, and he's standing laughing as
do you know the saddest thing about that, mate?
That's a disgrace. Of course he did it. It raked him down his Achilles. Raked the studs down his Achilles. No, that should have been noted. What Scott Brown had done before it, and it's what Scott Brown had done after it.
I would say, Bridgman, that was a coward's challenge.
Oh, yeah. Every bit of it.
Absolutely.
That's just my opinion, and I'm sure if Mr. Brown wants to speak to me, he knows where I'm at.
I love it. I think it was very poor.
I would just go to the long list of threats I've had today, mate.
I'll just add to them, then. Just add it to them. Just add it to them. As long as Mr. S. Kipper isn't among that lot.
I better let people know that we've done shows with the 60s and 70s for the rest of the week. The 60s guys will be Bridgman and Mr. Skipper. The 70s on Friday night, the guys on the show will be Albert and JFK. Then we'll be back, me and Bridge, on Saturday and Sunday for the lockdown shows. And then on Monday, we'll have the 80s with Dempsey and Makepeace. That'll be Linda and Hull School with Southside. And 90s on Tuesday.
Dempsey and Makepeace.
The 90s will be Big Stevie and Port Bear, and the 2000s is Ur Jody and Ur Gary. I've got to say, they're the nicest team. They're the nicest team. No threats or nothing for them, no, the rest of these.
Fantastic.
Yet. You've not heard it yet.
That's a good point, Bridge. Well made. Good point, well made. Right, okay, so we've looked at some of the players. We're going to look at 2000, the guys whose contracts out of sync the following year, Linda, because obviously as a football club, but also as a business, you've got to keep looking at.
Yeah. So in 2022, I think we've got James Tavernier, we've got Connor Golson, Scott Arfield, John McLaughlin, That's the guys that contracts are up next year. So it's probably thinking about, do we extend them this summer? Or is it a case of, dare I say it, is there a potential for any of them to be sold on? Because if they don't sign any extensions to their contracts, then they're obviously free agents next year, so we wouldn't make any money on them.
Yeah, this is what you've also got to think about. That's what made the game so difficult now for Football Management Bridgeman.
Continuity is a killer, isn't it? Try and get it done, yeah. And they've all got to look.
All your plans and somebody decides not to sign, and
that's it. Well, speaking about that, I noticed on the news tonight, or was it late last night, one of the top stars who used to play in the Scottish League went over. He was playing with Atletico Madrid. It was Atalanta. I can't remember which. And he fainted. Mr. Dumbelly fainted.
I've seen that. I don't follow. I know you're a keen follower that side of the city, mate, but other players.
Oh, yes.
But I would say, looking at that, there's potentially for 3 or 4 of them to get extended contracts, Linda.
I wonder why we would
Bridgeman.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were speaking to me there.
A lot of things, but you're not called Linda.
Well, I would agree. I would say Tav, because I think, he's done enough to justify a new contract. And I think, again, who would you replace him with? Young Patterson's obviously there as his understudy. I would go for Goldson. And I think Scott Arfield as well probably deserves another contract as well, Ox. And actually, do you know what? I think I would probably go for John McLaughlin. So I would probably it would be the 4 of them for me.
If I was talking about it this new with their form, I'd need to see Scotty. He could maybe get a year's deal with a year's option. And I would like to, maybe as we heard this new, it would be 2 years for the rest of them.
Yeah. That makes sense, Ox. Absolutely, yeah.
100% agree with that.
Linda? Oh, sorry, Bridgeman. Same thing,
I think, I agree with that. 100%. I think I've always thought that we're going to have to keep John McLaughlin on anyway, at least for another season, maybe 2. And by that time, that young lad, with Livingston now, is it with Livingston, the goalkeeper?
Yeah, Robbie McCrory, Bridge.
That's him. I think he's going to be a good goalkeeper. Or is that boy Firth? No, I'm not kidding. No,
it's a boy Firth. Best job in the world. Best job in the world.
Yeah. No, obviously there's going to be a number of people's careers are going to change this close season. I do think, based on what we've seen in the under pressure games, I think most of our team have really stood up to it all, and well done, and a big slap in the back for them. But I don't know if they would be able to maintain that level of commitment for a solid season and maybe 2 seasons in the future. It might be an awful lot to ask of them, but we'll see. The manager may be looking to bring a couple of people in. Hopefully a big centre half, massive centre half, massive.
We've got Boy Simpson and
he looks quite tidy. He's a young lad. He's only a young lad, but he needs to be nursed along.
I don't care what size they're, mate, as long as they can play.
Needs to play football, of course. Needs to play football and needs to be able to understand the ways of the world as far as be ready to learn about Rangers. That's what we need to do. Be ready to learn about it.
I think we've been joined by George Logan. Evening, George.
How you doing, Ox? All right?
Great, mate. Great to hear from you.
Hi, George.
Hi, George.
Hi, Linda. How you doing, Hen? All right? How you doing, Bruce?
I'm fine.
Another great show tonight. Listening to you talking away, Ox, and I think we're in a great position, Ox. I really do. I mean, I think the guys go away for 6-week break. Stephen Gerrard says comes back, and whoever's up for it, like you say, Ox, we're up for it again. But replacing these guys, Ox, centre halves and things like that, it's got to be a massive job. So I don't think we're going to. The boy you're talking about, Stewart and Jones and guys like that, Ken, they'll probably never feature anyway. So we'll get rid of them. But the big boy Balogun, Ox. I keep on talking about this because I keep on thinking about players that have been signed into this country for that lot, for big money and things like that. And the big guy in his own position has no made very many mistakes, Ox. So the thing you didn't want to do as champion is just start getting rid of people or letting people go, Ken, when you can't improve on them. Unless you're going to improve right at the top, as in Goldson and whoever your main centre half, you're not going to let the guys go. I don't think, Ox, because they've been that good for us this year, Ox.
It's very, very difficult, George, isn't it? Because you've got to keep improving, but it's who's the favourites, who's what age they are. Do you think you can get better? Do you bring somebody in with potential? Do we need projects? Do we need proven internationals, which cost money? You've got to look at the money side of it. It's a difficult balancing act.
We're in a fantastic position now, Ox. A year ago for now, if me and you were speaking to right now, I mean, it's dream stuff as far as I'm concerned, Ox. What's happened to the club, not just the team, the club, everything in the last year. I mean, I think it was 10.2 million for the Europa League we took. That wasn't expected. You maybe expect to take 5 million for that at your very most, Ox. So there's 5 million straight in the copper straight away.
Did I not remember in the August show that Bridge said he would match that pound for pound?
I thought I'd said that right enough. If anybody's capable, he's your man.
George Logan, I'm shocked at you. I'm sure.
No, but I think that's what I mean. We're in a great position now, Ox, because we can say to guys, you want to come in and try and have a shot at this Champions League. We're the champions. We've got a lot going for us now, Ox. A lot more than we did last year. We've got a better squad of players. We've got our guys that were already there, the Taverniers and all them, improved dramatically, Ox. So we can get a bit of improvement out of them this year as well, and then go again. We're going to have to spend money, but I think our club's in a great position now, Ox. A really excellent position, and I just hope we can actually get back into the ground next year, Ox.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. I'll ask you a wee question, George. Yeah? Just tapping into your memories. I think going back, it's nearly 3 years now since we were in Luxembourg under Kachina. And you knew my thoughts. I'd spoke to you affair about Kachina. I wasn't saying I'd kept my powder dry for a few months. And it came ahead within, 3 months of him having a job. And did you ever think we'd be where we were? When he was storing that hedge in Luxembourg and we were all raging? No,
I honestly didn't, Ox. I thought we were having good progress. I really did, Ox. And a lot of people say about Warburton and things like that, Ox. I think Mark Warburton done a good job for us, Ox. And I can't got money and things like that, but I think he'd done a good job for us. But when that next guy came in, Ox, I mean, it was just and that's the black mark against the board and whoever it was that picked him. But Ox, you couldn't actually see where we are today for that point there. Me personally, I couldn't see where we are today. Everything's just fell into place, Ox. It's been absolutely perfect. I think it's the way it's been done. The director of football has been absolutely fantastic. The manager's been fantastic. And he's got the right guys in at the right time, Ox. I mean, I keep on saying it's dreamland, Ox. For to have won the league this early in the season, to have had the run we had in Europe, up to how we had in Europe, and now we've got the chance of qualifying for the Champions League, Ox. For 3 years ago to now, to arguing on a hedge to possibly go on and play in the best in Europe, it's dream stuff for me, Ox. It really is.
Linda.
Yeah, I'd agree, George. It absolutely is. Just you're in dreamland, and it's also just the way the club is off the park as well, isn't it, George? We seem to have got everything in line, in terms of the business. We've got good people running the club, and from a commercial point of view, the guy James Bisgrove has done an unbelievable job. And I think you're right. We might not actually need to sell any of our big players on this year. Possibly because we've done quite well in the Europa League. We've brought in revenue. There's a possibility that maybe one will have to go, but I think we're in a much better place than we could ever have dreamed of when Kachina was the manager. It's unbelievable. It really is.
Rich?
I think I've said this a dozen times, and you guys have heard me. I'm in dreamland. I'm in dreamland. This is the best I've seen my club and my team playing for a long time. And the players they're no big stars, they're no greatest stars in the whole world. And I know the Paul Gascoignes and Gazas, they're just absolutely outstanding for us at the moment. And they've been carrying us along. The fans have been carrying them, they're carrying the fans, and the fans can't get in the stadium, and all the things that you could ever throw at us. And look at us, 20 points clear. 20 points clear. My God, they've only taken 1 point. So, you know what I mean? It's just quite incredible. We are fantastic at the moment, and the fans are in seventh heaven. I'm not being funny, really and truly, and I hope it lasts. Because we want another couple of seasons out of them.
As long as we've got these people in place with the board, George, driving us forward, because they're the catalyst for the whole thing. And there's some cracking guys on that board. When that guy John Bennett speaks, you listen, eh?
Aye, that's the thing, Ox. It's coming for right through the club now, Ox. It's coming for everybody. It doesn't matter who it is. I mean, all the guests, even for the club and women's side of the football, you've had on, Ox, they all speak, and it's no...
By the way, they're coming back to join us next week, George, now that their break's finished.
Brilliant, Ox. It's just that they've got a certain way of conducting themselves now, Ox, and I don't know if it's coming right to the top, and this is just the way we're going through now on, Ox. Everything's getting done right because we were a shambles, Ox, and a lot of people come out and Barry Ferguson and say we're a basket and he gets slaughtered for Ox. I'm happy to admit we were a basket case, Ox, a few years ago. Certain players weren't want to come near us, young players and things like that. Look at the young talent we've got coming through now, Ox. The young boy Nathan Patterson, an absolute dreamer laddie for to have it right back. And you've got Tavernier, the best right back we've had in a long time, and he's got to replace him, Ox. So it's all good stuff for us now. The thing for me, if we keep Alan McGregor, Ox, we've got to get that deal signed. I can't, it's got to get done, but just get it signed, because see that's a £5 million signing, Ox, for me, because you need to replace that next season. Again, we've got John McLaughlin, but I think it's a great signing to get him, Steve Davis, and things like that. All positive, the new Ox.
Well, obviously John Bennett's educated the west end of Glasgow, so you're going to be intelligent, you know.
That boy's interview sort of shocked me a wee bit, Ox, because I didn't expect, but just the way the guy spoke and the information he gave you and how passionate he was for things, Ox, I didn't expect that, to be honest. So even that was a great interview, Ox.
Well, Fuller Bears, the board, Fuller Bears, you know, it's important. It's important for us. There's a connect then. They get us and we get them. It helps. You know, it's no faceless. It's difficult because driving a business rather than the emotional ties of fans is two different things, Linda.
Yeah, and you feel as if you trust them as well, don't you? There's been obviously people on the board before and folk that were running the club, we had no trust in them whatsoever. As you say, Ox, that they're all Rangers fans. They've had to put money in out of their own pocket. And I know going forward, the club wants to be more sort of sustainable in terms of asking the fans to, you know, constantly dip into our pockets as well. And I think that was why we were all expecting perhaps that one or two players might go out the door this summer. But hopefully that won't happen, at least maybe for another year, to give us a real great chance at, you know, the Champions League.
When you look at it, Linda, maybe in that first one's the guys that's up this summer, maybe 5 of them could leave. That frees up a lot of wages.
Yeah, and I think as well, the attraction for our club as well is obviously our manager. We've always said that. And a lot of these players that we've signed, the quality, they might not have come if Steven Gerrard wasn't the manager, but they're here now and we've got a lot of them on decent contracts. But yeah, if we can free up wages, then we might obviously be looking at a couple of signings as well, just to give us a bit more strength. But yeah, you know, the more money we can free up probably for wages, the better, in terms of players that we don't really see playing a big part in the coming season.
George?
See, for me, Ox, I mean, I think that's why I said about us being in such a good position, Ox. And like Linda says, we might have to lose a player just to balance the books if we want to bring fresh people in. But there's 5 going to leave, possibly 6 guys, got to go after the wages. Now, we're in a position now, Ox, now, sentimental value for guys that's playing in the club, and we love every one of them and things like that, Ox. But first and foremost, the security of the club, Ox. So let's say we didn't need to sell anybody. We've got massive assets on the park, Ox, that see if we're in the Champions League or UEFA Cup come Christmas, Ox, we've got the assets to sell on there, Ox. We've not had that position for years, and I can't a lot of folk know what I say, you know what I sell boys in January, but see if it comes to balancing the book for the club and improving constantly, Ox, that's the way we've got to go.
Here, we've got some big events coming up. I don't know if he's picked up the day. I got Ubridge first for this one, mate. The 150th design of the logo was was put out today, and it looks really, really smart.
150th design of what?
The logo.
The logo. Apologies, that's what you were showing us. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the crest and all that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd seen it earlier today. Yeah, it looks brilliant. I'm really impressed with it. Really impressed.
Just everything's been done. It's been done in a timely manner. And you're right. I think it was you, Linda, that mentioned James Bisgrove, and he's doing an absolutely fantastic job.
Oh, definitely, Ox, and all these partners. The new business partners that he's brought in. I think it was something like, I think I maybe read it was something like 10, maybe just a couple of years ago, and there's now about 30, and that's obviously all welcome revenue. But going forward in terms of next year, the 150th anniversary, it's absolutely amazing that we're going to be going into that as champions as well. It's that's just the icing in the cake. But there's obviously that they're going to be of all these events planned and celebrations. I think the Castor boys are going to be rubbing their hands together as well, because did you read that as well about all the commemorative kits that are going to be out? Special training gear, leisure wear.
Incredible.
It's honestly, Bridget, it's going to be unbelievable.
They tied up with one of the world's top golfers today, Patrick Reed.
Did they, Ox? Wow.
Tied up with Patrick Reed. So you'll be getting Castor golf gear, Linda.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Probably £100 for a polo shirt.
For a pair of socks.
Do they do trainers?
No yet, Bridge. No yet.
I'm waiting on that coming out.
Oh, George, they boys must have coined it, innit?
Oh, absolutely fantastic, Ox. I've seen numbers. Again, it's been mental, but I've seen numbers on one of the articles I read last week there, what's been sold, individual items and that. And I heard you saying the other night there, folks saying about making T-shirts and things like that, Ox, and that's great. But like you say, go to the club and support the club. And I think this is the time to actually do this, Ox. If everybody just, because a lot of folk were saying do different things, if everybody just gets under this and gets behind the club, they guys are just going to be rubbing their hand, Ox, and the more they make, the more comes back to your club. So yeah, again, Ox, it's all positive news. And there's folk out there saying it's not the best. It's brilliant gear, Ox. It's actually really good gear. And like Linda said, you've got to pay £1 to get half decent stuff, but compared to the jumbo sale we were getting selling a couple of years ago, Ox, it's a different level.
Yeah. Listen, George, it's only my opinion. People sell stuff for various reasons, to raise funds for, say, their supporters club, or they're raising funds to run their website or whatever. I get it. People have to have money to operate. It's not always easy to raise money, but I just think if you're buying stuff and it's Rangers stuff, let's try and we're constant as the love of the club, so let's purchase for when we can and put all our money to the club.
Can I say 100% agree with that? If we could go 200%, I would say 200%. I plead and really and truly, I hope that every Rangers fan don't go anywhere else to buy your gear. Only buy it at the club. Please, only buy it for the club. The money goes then to the club, and we need it. Sorry, guys.
Old school boy, you're a bad man. It's just my thoughts, Linda. But apart from the initial hiccups, I think, Linda, that things have really improved with Castor. This pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely, Ox. And it was a kind of really rotten time for them in terms of launching the gear, as you say, because of the pandemic and all the issues they had with, getting enough people working on the gear, and they had to sort of outsource because of the demand. And then all the delivery problems, etc. But I haven't really heard any new issues, and everything seems to be all right now. And I think we all sort of thought it would, sort itself out in due course. And when you get into the shop, it's just wonderful to see all the new gear. And then obviously with the new Edmondson house, the shop's going to be moved over there, and it's going to be something special, I think.
It's going to improve, slowly and surely improve the match day experience in George. When people were coming to with families and that, and we couldn't go into the shop at the game, and they're desperate to spend money, and we couldn't.
Aye, that's what it is. Oxen. I think if Florida's coming out now and everybody's just doing their bit, and people that wouldn't normally buy 2 or 3 strips are buying a couple of strips just because of the fact they're actually nice strips. You can do that, and folk have not had the chance to do it for the last few years. But can you just imagine the directors and shareholders' faces, Ken, after the first meeting with Rangers and they walked through? They must have been laughing all the way. They must have been loving it, Oxen, thinking to themselves, what an opportunity this is, because we've been kicked about. Oxen didn't really have much a great deal. Oxen, the numbers we are selling is absolutely frightening. The guys must have not realised half of how much we're going to sell.
No, I'd love to either get them on here for a quick chat, or I'd love to just have a chat with them and say, look, what did you think initially, and were you surprised? Because it's still going, and I mean that I think that championship 10,000 run sold out in minutes, and obviously they put another further 20,000, I believe, and it's sold out now. You know, that's just for that commemorative strip. You know.
Yeah. Anytime you go online as well, Ox, trying to get gear, it just, even all the sales stuff all just sold out over the last couple of weeks as well. They haven't got.
The only thing you can get if you want it is a chocolate bar.
I might buy a few of them then. And they've even got good selection of sort of ladies, gear as well in terms of the actual fit. They've got more in the shop than they have online, but there's obviously a big market for that as well.
Yeah, it's important, Linda. You've got to get it right for all your demographics, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. And all the kiddie stuff, I think they've got all that sorted out as well, and the stuff for the infants. And, that took a wee while to get sorted. So it has taken them the best part of a year probably to get themselves in a position where they can, they can cope with the demand to a certain extent. But in a year, as you say, where there's been a pandemic, I think you've got to, applaud them to a certain extent.
I'll doff my hat to them. That's my Championship 55 hat, yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, Aye, great. It's all positive stuff. I liked George was saying Bridgman, but everything's important. Every bit in the Lego building is important to function a big club, innit?
Oh, 100%. The club are, by the sound and the feel of it, the club are going ahead and they're doing some great things. And they're just looking, well, not just looking, but they're looking for the fans to support them. And if the fans continue to support them, then they will get done what they think needs to be done. And the celebration thing, Linda was saying there, it's going to be awesome. It's just going to be awesome. And we're now going to go and finish this league as champions. Chances are we might have a double as well, with the Scottish Cup, which I do hope we can do. And our manager, my God, I don't know if we've signed a new contract with him yet, but please get it done. Whatever happens, get it done. Keep him and his team here.
Some of the technical staff are looking for a commemorative 55 rubber duck. And some of the other technical staff are looking for Mr. Bisgrove to get a deal with Blue Goose, so we can have Blue Goose and Coke, and we can buy as much as you like on the premises that we're supporting the club.
That's a good shout.
Sounds like a plan.
That's a good shout, by the way. Absolutely. Good shout. We've got great things to look forward to, I'm sure. It's going to be a tremendous season next season. Just let us get back into the stadiums again to see our team. Please let it happen, please.
Okay, get yourselves a mute, because we're going to have a tune.
To be the best, number one and nothing less. Lead me to my destiny. I have waited patiently. I have vision, though I believe. I know I can count on me. So stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up. For the champions, for the champions, stand up. For the champions, for the champions, stand up. Stand up, stand up. For the champions. It's just life, that's how it is. 'Cause we have our strengths and weaknesses. Oh, I have vision, oh, can't you see? I'm on the move, make way for me. So stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up. And when I fall down, I have to pick myself back up. And when I fall down, I have to pick myself back up. And when I fall down, I have to pick myself back up. And when I fall down, I have to pick myself up. Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up for the champions, for the champions. Stand up, stand up, stand up for the champions, for the champions. 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 Stand up.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Come on, Bridge, you were jumping about to that one, weren't you?
You're absolutely right. I'm just this minute sitting there. Stand up. Stand up. Oh my God. It's like one of these punk music ones. Absolutely brilliant. Jumping up and doing the headbangers. Do.
That's not the first time you've been called a headbanger.
Oh, once or twice. Once or twice, 100.
I knew you would like that one.
That was brilliant. That was excellent. Just excellent. My wife was looking at me. What are you doing?
Again, not for the first time.
Not for the first time. That's the truth. She loves me really, but I think
She's been with you that long now, Bridge. She's almost part of the family, isn't she?
Oh, I better believe it. She was. I'll tell you. She puts up with a lot. Well, I mean that in the nicest way, of course,
Of course, mate. Oh, she married above herself when she met you.
Oh, come on. Of course, that's 100%, by the way, 100%. I keep telling her that she's the luckiest girl ever.
Came for the other end of the party, it'd be different.
Oh, party cross girl, what can you say,
Not to worry. Okay, get on that phone. Phone the operator. Phone the receptionist. Come in and join us. Give your thoughts on the players we're going to keep. We're going to let go. Linda, do you see any major surprises? Do you see somebody like maybe potentially say Barisic walking out the door? Obviously for good money.
I did wonder, Ox, if there was any of the players in the current, sort of first squad that you would be prepared to let go in terms of whether we could cope without them, if funny money came in. And I suppose Barisic is one of them. The other one is maybe Glenn Kamara. And they're going to feature very heavily at the Euros, aren't they? So they'll be in the kind of short window. But there's a possibility, but we obviously just don't have a ready-made replacement for Barisic because obviously we've not seen enough of Bassi. So I don't know if he's a possibility, but what would we be talking about? Maybe 20, 25 million for him?
Barisic?
Yeah.
You really think so?
Maybe 20?
What age is he? I'll check his age out. I don't think he's as young as me, is he? Well, look.
Would you say he's about maybe late 20s?
Aye, he looks about 45 right enough, doesn't he?
Maybe 20 million's too generous. Maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 million.
Depends on his contract. He's obviously got a bit of time left in his contract. Bridgman, know what I noticed about Barisic? He's always doing injured, and then there's a fight, he's the first one in.
That's a good point. A good point, that one. Good point. I think he's about 27, you know. I think he's 27, 28.
Borna Barisic. Come on, where are you? Borna Barisic. Yep. 107 games he's played, but he's only scored 7 goals. I thought he scored more than that.
Look at his assists. Must be 30 or 40 assists in there.
Seven goals, three penalties he scored. He's only scored 4 goals. My memory must play tricks. Right, where are we? What age is he? He'll be 29 this
29, yeah.
This year.
So he's 28 now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. So if he's going to get transferred, I'm thinking and looking along the lines of Barisic himself. Mm-hmm. If he wants to move, this is probably the ultimate time he could move. Because once he goes past the 28, 29, you're starting to over the edge then. You're starting to go over it.
He's at the peak of his powers, Linda.
That's it, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, he is. And I think we only paid maybe 1.5, 2 million for him, Ox. So even if you got 15 million, and I'm only thinking about in today's market, you know, he's the Croatian left back. And you think about what other players have left for in that position, even from Scotland, and the money that, you know, a team was prepared to pay for them. But I suppose it is just what teams are prepared to pay for players. But I think definitely you'd be looking at maybe 15 to 20 million for Barisic, but maybe that's optimistic.
Maybe if you get 10 times your money, if you paid 1.5, you get 15 back. Jeez, you'd need to be happy with that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, for sure. That's a great return.
Aye, you know, and he's done well for us as well. I don't think he's the greatest defender in the world, but he's got something about him. You know?
Yeah.
But
the level we want to play, right? Barisic fits in. If Barisic leaves, I think we're going to have to pay a tidy wee sum of money again to bring in a left back. Because I think when they say something about Bassey may not make it, unfortunately for Bassey, this COVID thing hasn't helped him in the least. So I don't know what his hopes for the Rangers. I was very hopeful of him. I thought he was going to make it. Looks a really big, solid unit. And if he doesn't get the chance to do whatever he should be doing at Rangers, then he needs to make it happen. I mean, he really does. He needs to make it happen.
Turn your phone off, mate. You're pinging. I think more than the COVID thing, I think more the St Mirren performance sent his career back a wee bit, Linda.
I don't think we were expecting that, Ox, were we really, that night? I think when we saw him, he was playing, we were expecting a lot more from him. But he's not really had any other chances, and it is difficult to make a judgment in somebody when they've played very few games. You know, there's quite a lot of players in the squad that we would have liked to have seen a bit more of. You know, players even like when you think about Cedric Itten, you know, people are asking, could he replace Alfie? But he's a different player, but still we've not seen enough of him to make an overall judgment. But certainly if somebody was to go like one of our kind of our regulars this summer, I think that's a good shout for Borna. But Glenn Kamara could be another one.
Yeah. I don't think he'll be going to Czechoslovakia right enough, but
no.
But I mean, obviously everybody's got a price, and you see what it takes. And if there's a good Euros and he gets attracted to somebody again comes in with funny money, I hope Rangers get his contract sorted so we're bargaining power stronger. What I like would have done, Linda, when you see it broke down, like we've got in front of us, is how it's all spread out. And we're not getting to the situation where there's panic stations. Now, there might be next year, but there's key players every year. And obviously their age, when you look at the age profiles, it's pretty much 6 players every year. It's coming to the end of their contract, isn't it?
Yeah, that was quite evident from that list, and obviously it's been careful planning. It's Ross Wilson, isn't it? He's the one that's the charge of the sort of transfers, and he's got a very good reputation in terms of his previous clubs. So some of that might have been done obviously before Ross came in. But generally, he seems to know his stuff, and he's very good at his job. So the way that it is spaced out, it does make total sense. I mean, a lot of people obviously were also talking about somebody like Ryan Kent, Ox, and if I think did we pay $6.5 million for him, and what if somebody came in with funny money for him? Is that a possibility that we'd be prepared to let him go?
Well, his contract is 2023.
Yeah.
So, obviously, when you get to the end of this season, he's got 2 years left in his contract. And do you give him another an extension?
Mm-hmm.
Give him another year's extension to protect your asset, maybe a rise, and see where that takes you. Still means if somebody comes in with funny money, he'll still go, but you're protecting your asset, innit?
Yeah.
This is running a football club now compared to if you go back 2 generations where the players had no power. It's went completely the other way now, Linda. Then we'll go to Bridge.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Ox. And I suppose in terms of players staying at clubs for long periods of time, it doesn't seem to happen as much now, doesn't it not? Obviously Tav's been with us for nearly 5 or 6 years he's been here, but you don't really see players sticking to the one club now in terms of them being moved on, and a lot of that's probably down to agents as well, and that they are trying to make as much money from the game as they can. But yeah, the power shift has definitely swung to them.
Bridgeman?
When you start talking about these kind of things, your head starts to swim,
So again, a monopoly, really, Bridge, isn't it?
That's exactly what it is. It's exactly, are we going to have a player able to do it? It's not the bid comes in for someone. And if you were speaking there about Borna Barisic, and I think, to be honest, that he's probably the favourite to leave because he's right for it. He really is. He's a Croatian international. They're a good team, an international side. He's in there. I don't know if he's in with the Bricks, but he certainly plays for them, and he's playing really well on the European scene for Rangers. You just think about it, but once again, we don't know if we'll get anybody that could step in without naming names. I just don't know.
Listen, used to get yourself on mute because this guy scored for his international team tonight.
Whoa!
Glenn Kamara, he fires the ball like Canada. It runs more miles and more farther. He's a midfield star. He's tremendous. When sitting back, he'll defend us, and on the attack, he will send us on to victory. And I want you to know that Glenn Kamara cost us 50 grand. And I want you to know that Glenn Kamara, he's gonna be a star for me and a star for you. A star in Rangers Royal Blue, a star in every single game. 'Cause he is electric, you'll never forget his name.
I don't know if he did score or not, but we just thought we'd play it anyway.
I'm sitting here going like, well done, Glenn Kamara. What a week,
I don't know if my information's right from the technical team in the background, I think they might have dropped one, but there we go. Anyway, it was an excuse to play Jodie, which is always a pleasure, and they hear the Glenn Kamara song.
It's a great tune, isn't it? She's so talented. Fabulous girl.
He got it wrong, the Fox did. He didn't score, he get booked. Oh, dear. All right, okay. All right, I know you celebrated every time you get booked, Bridge.
Oh, wow. She was, that could be lengthy. I couldn't even get into it, seriously. Are you talking about before I started to play football properly? I'll tell you.
Oh, dear.
I remember a referee giving me a yellow card, and I turned around, I knew him, like, I says, "What's that for?" He says, "Do you see what you did to that boy?" I said, I don't remember. Doing.
Oh, dear. He said he's seen his name coming up and thought he scored. But when people watching that game saying, "They've just told us that Glenn Kamara scored, what's happening here?"
He's been booked. He's been booked. I wish he scored, he's been booked. No, it was Pookie that scored.
Oh, yeah. We've been joined by Robert. Robert. Evening, Robert.
Oh, good evening, Wonders. Bridgeman, good evening, guys, girls. You caught me on the hawk there because I was waiting on the receptionist to answer to have a wee chat with me, then bring me back in. So
What's
I'm kind of
happening?
alone.
Do you know what's happening, right? People are getting in for a wee chat with the receptionist and they're having spending that long in there, they're not coming on the show.
Evening, Robert.
Evening, Linda. I hope you're keeping safe and well.
Very well, thank you.
Oh, wait a minute, I've got to push you. We've been joined by Denver Bear there. Oh, he's dropped it. I'll carry on, Robert. The floor's yours.
I'm just listening to the chat tonight, talking about the players that might be leaving us. Obviously, I think Ops, your usual suspects, like Greg Stewart, Jordan Jones, Edmondson. I'm hoping to send the boys and go back to that. He's not impressed me at all, so they should all definitely leave. We Defoe, let's be honest, he's came to the end of his time. He's done a brilliant job for us, but we can't pay a guy 20 to 25 grand a week to play a back part. We've got to take that sentimentality to it. Unless he stayed for a coaching role with a lot more wages, then fair enough. But guys like that all have to move on. But
no room for sentiment.
No, definitely. But what I think, we're no different from any other club, and Dave King has touched on it. We've got to balance the books, because if coronavirus has hampered us, we've lost millions with no having full 50,000 Ibrox. Let's not kid ourselves. We've done well bringing in money for Europe and money for Castro and everything else for season books, but we've got to balance the books for everybody else. So we will have to sell, whether us Rangers fans like it or not. We will probably have to sell, right? But the only way we might not have to, and where it hinges on, in my opinion, is the group stages of the Champions League. If we can qualify out the qualifiers and get into the group stages and guarantee ourselves, 30, maybe 40 million pounds, you'll get. Then that's the only way I can see we won't have to sell. But I think we will. I think we will sell.
That's a great point, Mucker, because obviously the qualifiers are around about the end of July, start of August, the first 2 weeks in August, and the window's still open. So you've actually got two bites of the cherry. You could maybe see if you're going to qualify, and if you don't, you punt.
Well, that's what I think. That's exactly what I think the club will do. I think Steven Gerrard will wait and see how we go on. And let's be honest, knowing the Rangers, we'll not get it easy in the qualifiers. We'll get the hardest stroke. We'll not get the teams that other lot got last year. We'll not get teams like that. We'll get the hardest straw that can possibly be put in our way, because it always happens to the Rangers. You know that yourself. But we like the challenge, so we'll not complain about that. So that's what I think will hinge on whether if we get into the group stages. Well, let's think about it. See if you get into the group stages and you could play your Barcelonas, your Bayern Munich and all that. Would you really want to leave the Rangers? Like Alfredo Morelos, for instance, who wants to play the English Premiership. If we could get into the group stages, I think that will turn players' heads. But if we don't get into them, then I think you will find one or two saying, "Oh, do you know what? I've got these 55. I want to move on," and that's just my opinion.
I get your comment, Linda.
Yeah, that's spot on, Robert. It's a great shout. Maybe saying to somebody like Morelos, why don't you wait to see if we actually qualify through to the group stages? Stay till then at least and see how, that goes. And if we get through, then I would reckon that Alfie probably would want to stay for at least another season, Robert. And if we're in an okay shape financially, off the park, that it's not an absolute must that we need to sell somebody in the summer, then possibly the club will do that.
Yeah, definitely. And here's a wee question I've got for the three. Is a wee hypothetical question here. So if it comes to it and we do have to sell, right, I'd like to use the freezer opinion here. And say, for instance, we have to sell 2 of our main assets. Just say, a wee hypothetical question, and you've got the choice between Ryan Kent, Alfredo Morelos, Borna Barisic, and Glenn Kamara. Ox, I'll ask you first of all, if you have to, which 2 of these would you sell? Well, yeah. I'm sorry, you're always putting other people in the spot, so I thought I would put the host on the spot first of all.
What was that you were saying there? Haji, please.
Did you get
Haji,
my,
please.
I was sneezing there. Did you get my answer?
I got it. Haji.
I got it as well.
Listen, obviously he's an asset as well. The biggest asset of them is potentially Ryan Kent.
Yes.
Again, somebody comes in with stupid money. We paid $7.5 million for him. He's still young. The Leeds one's constantly mentioned in the media. Their boss is a fan of Kent's because of what he's done in Europe now. He might be a 20-plus player. So if you treble your money, Robert, you need to look at it seriously. He would be potentially the biggest, maybe for bringing money in, maybe Alfie. But the one that I could see leaving the club because they always get attracted to Italy is Borna Barisic.
Yeah. So, and if you had to sell 2 of these 4, that would be the 2 you would sell, because I'm based on we're going to get decent money for the 4 of them, right? We're going to get decent money for the 4 of them, but you have to pick 2 at that 4. So would that be the 2 you would sell?
Borna and Haji.
Listen, we're not going to get 20 million for Haji, but we've got a chance to get 20 million for at least for the other 4. So Haji's no in the 4. I know you want him. I know you would want Haji to be the 4 of them. If you had to sell 4 players, you'd sell 4 Hajis, but that's not happening.
Can I come in and ask you?
Aye, go away.
I've got a sneaking feeling that as things stand right at this moment, we couldn't refuse any of these major sums of like £20 million for any player. We just couldn't do it financially. I don't think we could anyway, let's put it that way. Unless somebody could tell us.
We turned 18 million didn't feel Lille last summer for Morelos, mate.
Yeah, I know, but this year, different times again. You've just gone through a full year of, of COVID. And it's been, the season's been hellish in that sense, many fans and so on and so forth. Don't get me wrong. Everybody will have their own opinions, but I just think from a club perspective...
I just want to see if Denver's away. Denver, are you with us? Not okay, the backroom staff. He was and he's disappeared. Carry on, Bridge, and we'll go to Bird.
I just feel that when we're speaking about players worth 20 million, it's incredible. It's just incredible to think about it right now. So... I don't know. I don't think our club could actually afford not to. That's all I mean. The other thing I was going to ask you guys, many years ago in the Champions, and I think it just started as a Champions League, when both of us, both the club, 2 of the big clubs here, were in the what do you call it, in the Champions League. We had to share the TV money, if my memory serves me right. So you didn't get that £50 million or £30 million. That was split between the country, the two teams in the country, or however many teams were in it. I don't know if that's still the same. Do you know?
I don't know the ins and outs, mate. I'll check it out and let you know. Anyway, we'll be joined by Bob Ger. Evening, Bob Ger.
How you doing tonight, folks? All right.
Hi, Bob.
Evening, Bob Ger. Hi, Bob Ger.
Evening, Bob.
Yeah. Just a brief visit tonight. Better watching boring European football. No, sorry, international football. A really good discussion tonight about the economics of the club. I used to sit with my head in my hands. Obviously, economics is not my thing. It's football, but obviously I was aware of being a Rangers fan. And you used to feel in the Ashley days that you had a bear trap in your ankle and you couldn't get out it. Well, we've got out it now, and the club's in a fantastic place. And you're talking about the playing staff there, about people moving on and people coming in. Well, that remains to be seen. The only thing I can see is that the club's in a fantastic place, on the verge of making it to the Champions League, and that itself will bring in funny money, as we all know. So we might need to sell, I don't know, one player at least. But that would be it, and I think it would be Hadji. And somebody else has got a Doug Barney. Brilliant. Right. So that's my take on it. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, who wouldn't want to be in your situation?
Linda.
Yeah, I would agree, Bob Ger. We're in a brilliant position. In terms of selling, in Robert's question, if I had to choose the two, I think I would go for Borna Barisic and possibly Glenn Kamara.
Surprises me, Linda. Both high quality players.
Yeah.
I think if anybody was going out the door, to me it would be Hadji. I've seen a ridiculous tiger on the day, 20 million quid to where was it, Sampdoria Hawks? I can't mind.
Where does he stay? I'll go and get him this now and pick him up.
Well, I'll drive him there. But that's
Brilliant.
Bob Ger, it was 2 from 4 that Robert gave us. So I think it was Borna Barisic, Glenn Kamara, Ryan Kent, or Alfredo Morelos. So it was 2 from 4.
Well, I didn't want to see the squad brought up, Linda. I wanted to continue.
It's only a game, Bob. Don't worry about it. We've been joined by Shuggy. Evening, Shuggy.
Evening, Rangers Radio. You're getting very hard to get through to these days. I don't know, boys, what you're doing, man.
Did you speak?
We're having a party.
Did you speak to the receptionist?
I tell you what, he's got a lovely, sexy voice to it, has I?
He doesn't disappoint in the flesh neither.
No,
wow. Easy, boy.
Well, I guess you picked him the Hawks, eh?
No, Shuggy. No, mate. How you doing, brother? All right?
I'm no bad, mate. Yourself? I'm just intrigued in this conversation that you've got going tonight, like. Well, me and my brother was on about this today. Well, the 4 players, like you say, they are right. They're worth various amounts of money. Well, between them, me and my brother worked out in the equation. You're looking at Morales is 20 million. You're looking at Borna Barisic is up, I would say, between 10 and 12 million. You're looking at possibly Tavernier, which is worth 20 million. You're looking at Kamara, which is worth possibly another 10 to 12 million. So if you got rid of 2 players there and a possible 5 that are maybe up for sale, to be quite honest with you, if we can get sort of like £25 million back, I don't think that's a bad move, because I think in the market that Rangers are going to be looking at, to be quite honest with you, I think we could get some real bargains in the close season because of the pandemic, to be quite honest with you. I don't want the club to break up, but I think there's areas where we can utilise the money and make the squad stronger, because I think we need to be stronger for Europe, because I think last week at Shoe that we wasn't quite ready to take that next step up, if you know what I mean.
I think you've got to always evolve and reinvent yourself, Robert.
Yeah, definitely. And just touching on what Shug says there and talking about like getting 12 million for Borna Barisic, I think that's a bit low for him, because he is a Croatian international. I know he's 29 years of age, but I think he's worth a good wee bit more than that. And the same with Glenn Kamara. I mean, I would agree with Linda. If I had to sell through the morning, if I had no choice and had to sell through, I would probably go for Bournemouth and Glenn Kamara. But then again, I'm thinking, see Glenn Kamara, I just think this guy, the next couple of years, I think he could play for Man United or an Arsenal. And I think if we sold him for £12 million the Mora in the summer, I think Rino Gattuso, when we remember all the years ago, we eventually get $5 million for Rino Gattuso, and we're all going, great bit of business. And Rino Gattuso went on to be one of the best players in the World Cup and won Champions Leagues and World Cups certainly, and was worth millions and one of the best players in the world. I think Glenn Kamara, that could happen where we're no careful. If we let him go for 10 or 12 million, I think 2 or 3 years down the line, unless we get a massive 20 or 30% selling clause, I think we could live to regret that. That's my point of view. Don't, Rangers, please don't do what we've done in the past, and we have done it in the past. Don't sell too cheap. Make sure you get top dollar. If you're going to sell a player, and I hate to say that lot down the other end of the city, get 25 million for that wee Tierney, which is never worth that, but it still goes to it. That's the way we need to look at it. Don't sell them too cheap, because let's be honest, these guys have done well this season, especially in Europe. We went to the last 16, we're very unlucky not to get to the last 8, and they guys have all proved they can do it against top European sides like Benfica, etc. So don't sell them too cheap, that's all I'm saying.
Can I just come in there, Rox?
Yeah, sure, you go, mate.
Yeah, what it is Robert, you've got to look at it like this. We've got a guy now, Ross Wilson, and he's very knowledgeable of the English market or the foreign market, right? So, Rangers are obviously going to be working off a basis of whatever they believe they can get. So, say if we've got 5 players just in the equation that there's, £50 million for their 5 players, I honestly believe that the situation that Rangers are in, and with the Castor deal and everything else that goes with it, even though we've lost a lot of money, we even if we only sold 2 of the players, we could generate at least £26 million for their 2 players. And I think Ross Wilson would be able to spend that £26 million very, very well, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right, see what you're saying there, but see that 26 million you're saying for 2 players. Think about it, if we get to the Champions League group stages and we do no bad, we maybe get 7 points or whatever, and we finish even if we don't make it into the latter stages, but we get into Europa League, and these guys have performed well in the Champions League. See, the following year, you probably could maybe double that 26 million you're going to bring in for the YouTube. I'm always thinking ahead, and when you get in the Champions League, that's even greater than the Europa League, and the money goes up again and again. So don't be too, all I'm saying is, don't be too hasty, Rangers. You let these guys go pay balance a bit. Sometimes you've got to, what's that word? You've got to speculate, to accumulate. And I know, I said at the start of the call, of course we've got to balance the books. We're no different for any club. But you know what? I think we've maybe got it in our hands. This, for once in the last 10 years, Rangers have got, we've got the selling rights now. We've got it. We're not going to let people walk on us, because we have got the right people, from Douglas Park to James Bisgrove to John Bennett. We've got the right people in our club now that are doing all the right things, and now we can say what we want to do. We're not going to lie down and let people walk on the top of us the way they have done for years. It's now, this is our time, guys. This is our time.
Yeah, but I think the other thing is, Robert, is we've also got to be careful, because you've got to say to yourself, wait a minute, even though these guys have come in and give us a lot of money and they're prepared to give us a wee bit more money and prepared for us to wait, you can't keep saying to them, well, look, whatever pennies you've got in your pocket, give us it. You've got to, it's like anything, mate, you've got to give a little bit in return, you know what I mean? If somebody gives you something, you give a wee bit back, you know what I mean? Not that you have to give it back, but you do anyway, just to generosity or whatever your case may be, you know what I mean?
Yes, definitely.
If you've got it, you can give it.
If you had it, you give it.
You're going to say
but it's not always about whether you've got it, you can give it. If you really want to have it up, you can save it up, and you can say, well, look, I've maybe not got it originally, but if I save up over 3 months or 6 months or 12 months, whatever they budget on, they can have it.
Mm-hmm. There's some
they work on a bigger scale than what me and you do. You know what I mean? you've only got £5 in your pocket, I've only got 2 pence, but it doesn't make any difference, really.
And Bridgman?
It's still double what I've got.
I wish I was a penny behind you, Bridgman.
So they are.
It's interesting. Listen, I think that there's a bit of reality amongst the support. Maybe we're a certain vintage, Bob G, and we understand that players will come and go. You know, and it's all about, right, okay, Borna, we used him as an example. He's 29. Would you do? You keep him for another 2 years and then you've very little sell-on value. You've got to make these decisions as a club.
Well, it's a balancing act all the time, Oxy. It's the same with every club up and down the country, whether you be the biggest, whether you be the smallest, it's economics. And, you know, I mean, the thing is, Rangers have got a lot of good assets around about the park, but we are a football team, and being a football man, I mean, as Brad said earlier on, we're playing a brand of football we've never seen for years, and I wouldn't like to see the squad broken up. As Robert says, I'd like to see it go on and try and get the economics of the Champions League, and that automatically makes the club a lot of money, as we know. So as far as a player's perspective, as if I was playing for a club in front of 55,000 every week, with a chance of winning honours, and being idolised with the support, getting into the Champions League, what's not to like? Just get your deals done. If you're happy with it, proceed for another couple of years and then take it from there. But you've got a guy like Borna Barisic, 29-year-old. It's all about selling value. It's not an easy thing to discuss. You can bounce it back and forth all day. It's not an easy thing to discuss. We'll just have to see what transpires.
You see, at the end of the day, we've already got somebody that can cover for Borna Barisic, even though he may not make it now. The coloured guy that was Bassey or whatever they call the guy, the coloured guy.
Aye, Bassey, aye.
Big Shirley, you know what I mean? So Big Shirley could come in there and say, right, you don't have to sell Big Shirley, you just have to say to Shirley, look, screw your loaf, right? You're at a big club here, you've seen the potential of what it can give you, you know. We could make Bassey the next England fullback, you know what I mean? I think we could anyway.
Well, obviously he needs to get in the back in the team. I mean, he started okay and then he had a bad game against St Mirren, you know, when maybe he gave away the penalty and then his confidence was affected because he's no a young boy. He's not a young boy. So we'll see what it takes since Calvin Bassey, yeah.
Definitely, aye.
Aye, we move on for players are going to come and go, and then there's the other big one, Linda. You give somebody a contract and bang, they get injured. Your plans are up there.
Yeah, that's right, Ox. It's always a risk, isn't it? You know, when you think about some of the injuries that we've had this year, we've coped remarkably well when you think about some of the players that have missed out. But somebody else who possibly could go, and this is probably controversial, but somebody like James Tavernier, you know, his contract we're saying is up next year, 2022. But do we think that we've got a ready-made replacement in Nathan Patterson because we've seen more of him this season? We've seen very little of Calvin Bassey, but maybe that's something, although he is the skipper. But in terms of his contract, if he doesn't extend, then Tav will go next year on a free.
I think the shout that you've got there, Linda, to be quite honest with you, Linda, is you've got a very good shout there because me and my brother was on it. And to be quite honest with you, I don't like to undervalue Tavernier because I think we've missed him when he's not played the last few games. But
yeah, Shug. Yeah.
To be quite honest with you, I think if we could get between 12 and 15 million for Tavernier, I'd take the hands off, man.
Oh, absolutely.
And Linda, I've just picked myself off the floor there. I've just passed out there. I can't believe you're wanting to sell my favourite, Tav. But I know where you're coming from. But come on, if we watched the last few games, especially that game on Sunday when we had nothing at all going down the right-hand side, and that's how much we've missed our captain. And I know he gets a lot of criticism and stuff like that. But he's very seldom.
But Robert, we were still partying on Sunday, mate, to give them a chance.
I know, but look at Tav. He's got Tav's like Ryan Kent and like Stephen Davis and like Alfredo Morelos. Tav's very seldom. I know he's got an injury now, but Tav's very seldom. He's never injured apart from this one, and that's what we need in our team. We need guys like Tav, guys like Ryan Kent. Ryan Kent's never injured as well, and they're what I call the athletes. Your team, Big Connor, Golston. These guys, if you look at the amount of games these guys play, and I'll touch on it again, because I've no spoke to you about Sunday's game. Seeing Sunday, I thought once again, we Stephen Davis gave no disrespect, and I know Glenn Kamara's heads all over the place, and Joe Aribo and Hadji. We Stephen Davis taught them a lesson once again, 36 years of age, and he was, apart from maybe, he was up there with Ryan Kent and Alan McGregor as your best players. And a wee shout out again to Sir Stephen Davis, and I know he's your favourite Ox, but I thought on Sunday again he was immense. And if the other three midfielders played like him on Sunday, we would have walked that game there, yeah.
No, he was playing in there. The game past Glenn Kamara by and obviously Joe Aribo. I've actually got a bit of sympathy for Joe Aribo. Wonder, he's always a guy who gets shunted about, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think probably Joe would rather play up front as well, Ox, and I think it's his best position. I think you said the other night, our midfield, the way that we're set up, it gives them a lot to do in some of the games. But I think we all prefer Joe Aribo to play up front because I just think he's much more dangerous up there. He looks more comfortable. But just for the record, Robert, I don't want to sell Tav because I don't want to upset Fox either.
You're a sook. You're just a sook, by the way.
I'll do for me.
We've been joined
Can I come?
No, wait a minute. We've been joined by Dave. Evening, Dave.
Evening, Rich. Ox.
How are we doing, mate? All right?
Hi, Dave.
I'm doing good, aye. But I'm just getting a wee bit annoyed with the way you are talking there. It's about touting all these players off for next to nothing. You're on about Tav. Possibly about £12 million. Possibly. Celtic just sold Tierney 25 million.
6 years younger. 6 years younger.
Hang on, Dave. I just said there Tavernier is worth over 12 million, mate. You know what I mean? I think Tavernier is at least worth between 12 and 15 million. I think the 5 players alone, mate, we could make possibly between 15 and 60 million if we sold, because I don't think there's any did to it, mate. Unfortunately, we're going to have to sell because of the pandemic, mate. You know, end of the day, you know, it's all right saying, the fans will put their hand in the pocket, but end of the day, mate, unfortunately, we're going to have to sell, whether we like it or no.
I understand that, but what's annoying me is that the figures you're touting about. Now, you've got Tierney, you're talking about 12 to 15. No, Tierney, Tav. Celtic got £25 million for Tierney. Wait a minute. Sorry.
Chuggy, let him finish, mate. Let him finish. On you go,
they got £12 million for Frimpong. And we're talking about...
don't believe everything. Don't believe everything you read in the paper, mate.
No, I know that they just can throw these, but that's the numbers are talking for Frimpong. It's not patching like a Tab. He's a break, man. And I was at a show that, and not long ago, and they're talking about Morelos. He went in about £15 million and that. But now, if we sell Morelos for any less than £30 million, we're being done. But we need to get a reality check here.
Yeah, but let's come into perspective here, mate, right? How many clubs are going to have £30 million to spend when there's been a pandemic across the Europe? There's not many clubs that are going to say, well, there's £30 million to spend.
Dave, let's look at Tav. Tav's 30 this year. It doesn't matter what you say about Tav. We've had the best. Tav gave us his best football years. Yeah, and obviously he might decide to stay for us and see out his career with the Rangers, potentially get a testimonial with the Rangers. You never know, you know. But if he moves on, he's 30 years of age this year, so you're not going to get the same money for somebody at 30 as you're somebody at 23.
I understand the age and all that comes into it, but I think. See, over the years, we've been selling our players too cheap.
Aye, and we're trying to What would you say? And give an honest opinion. This summer, say next January, James Tavernier, somebody comes in for an offer with him. He's only got months left in his contract. I think he's got 2 years left. Let me just check that out. 2 years, Linda?
Yeah. No, next year. Next year. Yeah.
He's only got a year left in his contract. So if somebody comes in, they can actually sign him for nothing in January. So if he doesn't sign a new contract, even 12 million is OTT. How much do you think he's worth, Dave?
But I think you should get about 18-20 million for him.
A 30-year-old with 1 year left in his contract.
No, you'll know until.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be realistic, mate. Hopefully we get you.
Understand that you see over the years there, you just sold young Ross McCrory 352, and that made up part of the deal for Wright. That's shocking. It really is. And
Dave, I totally agree with you on that one, mate. I totally agree with you on that one. But I honestly do believe this, mate. Right? We've got the guys now in the club, right? And we know, unfortunately, like I said, that we have to sell. And I don't believe for 1 minute. I really don't, and I don't believe for 1 minute either Ross Wilson or Gerrard will undersell any of them players for an undervalued stay. But they might turn around and say, look, I didn't even want to sell you for 15 million 7 year. I wanted to sell you for 25 million, but I can't because of the pandemic.
But we've already sold players, Ross Wilson, etc. McCrory, Docherty, they're two.
Aye, but McCrory and Docherty. I agree with you, mate. But
300,000.
I agree with you, mate. But at the end of the day, mate, have McCrory and Docherty made it? No, they've no, mate. No, they've no. Docherty had more than numerous occasions of chances, and every time Docherty got a chance, I love Docherty because of what he is, where he comes from. But every time Docherty got a chance, he blew up. He couldn't handle it. He couldn't cut it.
I never thought he got a chance at Ibrox.
So who do you think's doing it wrong, Dave? Do you think it's the player that's doing it wrong, or do you think it's Rangers and what part of Rangers that's undervaluing the players?
I think the people who are selling the players is undervaluing them.
Our management.
I heard you. I heard you going on earlier about Gattuso. We sell Gattuso for, I think it was £800,000. The next thing he went for £8 million. It's just because you had a sell-on clause. And
I thought we got a few million for Gattuso.
4 million.
We only got.
I thought we got a couple of million for him. Was it 3 or 4? Did you say there, Bob J?
4 million.
I don't think so.
4 million. It doesn't really matter. We're at a stage now where you're saying
years ago, yeah.
But you're saying to us now, some people on here are putting some valuations in, and you're saying you don't know what we're saying, or we don't seem to know what we're saying, and I don't understand quite well how you can say that, because it's really people are going to value the players the way they see them, and I think you'll probably find across the panel here and other guys that phone in, they'll probably all be no far away from the figures. I don't know. For instance, Tavernier. There's no way you're going to get 15 million for Tavernier. You're not going to get it. Simple as that.
Oh no. We'll not know until it's out there.
No, but I'm just trying to be realistic. He's a 30-year-old. You're not going to get 15 million for a 30-year-old. You're not going to have.
Just like you trying to sell your house. You value £1 million. It's not worth £1 million unless somebody's prepared to pay £1 million.
Yes, that's what we're saying. And also remember, also you've got to remember the player as well. I don't think Tavernier wants to leave Rangers. I think it would need to be a really, really, really good deal for Tavernier before he left. I think he's made up here. I think he's made. That's my honest opinion.
I was just one of the players that's throwing about.
Gattuso left us for £4 million. Yeah.
4 million.
4 million.
Can I answer, Dave? Guys, can I answer, Dave? Dave, yeah.
On you go.
Okay. Listen to me earlier on, that's what I was saying. Don't sell our players for too cheap. But you've got to realise, Dave, we've no actually sold one of our major assets. No disrespect to Booker and the boy Ross McCrory. As man said, they never really made it, so that's all you were going to get for him. And Dave, everybody knows I'm James Tavernier's biggest fan, and what Ox has just said there, if James Tavernier was 25 years of age, yes, you could maybe look at 15 million, but he's 30 years of age with a year left in his contract, and I'm his biggest fan, and I know for a minute you're never going to get that kind of money for James Tavernier. And talking about James Tavernier, I don't know if any of you read what his brother Marcus said the other day.
I'm going to cut across you, mate. We've been joined by a guy called
Sorry,
Ross.
okay.
I think his second name might be Wilson. How we doing, Ross?
How we doing, boys? All right?
How we doing, Ross? Sorry about your
Not bad. Sorry, lads. I've just tuned into the last 5 minutes and listened to Razor doing there, but I wanted to phone up. I've not been on since we've won the league and that, so.
Oh, yeah. Good to hear from you, mate.
I was used to. No, I'm just absolutely delighted the way things have panned out so far, and obviously we've got the Scottish Cup to go. But see, I think it's just now that it's taken me to settle in, to kind of realise what we've done. You know what I mean? It's some achievement and all, but it's not finished yet. So I just hope that we can go on the rest of the year and go unbeaten and win the cup and all.
Brilliant, mate. It takes time to settle. You have to get when you start getting your 55 gin and whiskey and champagne through. You know we've done it, Linda, didn't you?
Okay, absolutely. And Ross, it's just sort of starting to sink in for most of us, I think, and reading the club preparing for the 150th anniversary. We were talking about that earlier, and they were just saying that it's absolutely brilliant that we're going into that as champions, and it just makes you feel fantastic. It's been a long wait, but it's been worth it, hasn't it?
Oh, 100%. The scenes at Ibrox and George Square, you've seen it, and then I don't know about yourselves, but seeing people out with the flags and the scarves out the cars and that, it's great to see. You know what I mean? And I've seen you see a few Celtic fans going by, and you know that they're upset and that, and it's great. It's absolutely brilliant. So it is, and we'll make it continue.
Right, well, you, Ross.
Area, Ross.
Who's your top 3 players this year, Ross?
Sorry, pal?
Who's your top 3 players this year?
My top 3.
In reverse order.
Third, I'm going to go with McGregor.
Right, okay.
Second, I'll go with Tav, and first, I'll go with Stephen Davis.
Oh, another year. Brilliant.
Right, Stephen Davis. Yep. Tav second. Yep. And Alan McGregor. Third.
Can I go with mine, Ox, please?
Aye, of course, Shuggy. I was just going to ask you, mate, and then I'll go to Dave. Yep.
Right, Steve Davis first.
Right.
Alan McGregor second.
Right, well, okay.
And Conor Golston third.
A man after my own heart. A man after my own heart.
And let me see. And Dave for Grangemouth, give me yours.
Third, Davis.
Stephen Davis, yep. Second,
Tav.
Tav, yep.
And McGregor first.
Aye. Robert, did you vote?
Yeah, I gave you mine last. I gave you mine last week. Yeah.
Well, it's getting big. We're trying to fill it up. I never noticed you yet.
He's lost it. He's lost it, Robert. He's lost it.
But if I like to give you another free, I'll give you my word, Brandon Baxter. There, yeah.
All right, okay. Listen, you'll not believe this, Bridgeman. We've reached that time of the evening. Oh, Bob Gia. It's not us, mate. It's not Fox. They're not pay overtime.
You're a shocker, by the way. What can I say?
Great show,
guys. Time for Bob Gia. Can I just say, guys, in all honesty, it's been a wonderful show. Absolutely brilliant. Really looking forward to tomorrow night. See what happens there. And thanks very much, Oxter. Another tremendous show. And to your buddies in the techie team. And, of course, Linda. Just brilliant. Excellent partner. Can I just say to all the Rangers fans all over the world, and particularly Rangers fans on here on Rangers Radio, Every single one is. Are we no pleased to be Bears? We are so pleased to be Bears, really. Keep it going for the Rangers, and everybody keep it going, please.
Linda, do you enjoy that? Quick?
Yeah, really great show. Thanks for having me on. Thanks, Bridgeman. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks to all the callers. Good debate. Thanks to all the boys. Come in there, Robert, Bob Chair, Ross, Dave for Grangemouth. Great to hear from him. Of course, everybody joined us on the calls. Fantastic to hear from you as usual. Can I thank Bridgeman and Linda for being on the panel, and Fox and Old School Blue for doing the technicals. Can I say that tomorrow night we will be joined by Skipper and Bridgeman, where they'll be reminiscing about the 60s, asking some trivia questions and picking their team for that decade. Thanks for listening. Stay safe. Remember, if you want, if you're buying the Rangers and Taxi board game, put the code in 55 titles and you'll get 20% off and free postage. We've been setting that tonight. Thanks for listening. Please stay safe. Speak to you all tomorrow. Take it away, Old School Blue.
Hey, guys.
Just what the Rangers really mean to me. These last few years I've been afraid that we might drift away. So I've been telling old stories with slim songs. Made me think about where we come from. That's the reason why I feel so very proud today. Let me tell you that I love you. I think about you all the time. I wish the 80s was good, and now I'm coming home. To think of life without the Rangers, you know that it would make me old sad. Glasgow Rangers is everything I've ever had. We won 9 in a row, and I'm still dreaming of Brian Lampton, Trevor Stephen, Marvin Andrews, Seth, keep believing, Davy Cooper on the wing. We remember Gaza with great affection, the day the helicopter changed direction. Jimmy Baxter hears pure perfection, Super Ali scores again. Well, let me tell you that I love you, and I think about you all the time. Ibrox Stadium's cozy, and now I'm coming home. To think of life without the Rangers, you know that it would make me old and sad. Glasgow Rangers is everything I've ever had. To think of life without the Rangers, you know that it would make me old sad. Last